Oh boy, I messed up this time. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. We do have an update to the Trade Tuesday series this week. The first item to go this time was the trio of pedals. They actually sold together because I bundled them. Figured that would be a lot easier to ship them all in one box rather than have to make 3 separate boxes. So I had those on my website for $200 and Damien picked those up within minutes of the posting of the video. So after taking out the PayPal fees and then the shipping cost, we received about $112 extra buying power. Next, since I've been having a lot of fun buying some cheaper guitars for this series, and I've been having money left in my cash coffer, I went to Reverb and made a whole bunch of offers on a bunch of different Gibson pickups. I was able to get $115 for this great set of pickups with a PCB system, and then $100 for a set of Gibson P90s. So I'll be putting these up for trade or sale instantly. However, if they do happen to sit around for a while, it's always great to have extra pickups if we get a cheap guitar that's absolute trash. We can see if Gibson Pickups help it.
Now, when I had purchased the set, it was the 490R 490T, and the seller said it came with the Quick Connect system, so I thought, oh, that's cool, I can easily throw this in a guitar. Fortunately, he forgot to mention that he snipped all the wirings off, so you'd have to splice those back on if you actually wanted to use that. And unfortunately, there is no output jack, and there is no 3-way toggle switch, so that's a bit of a letdown. But just as our fun tip of the day, if you have a Quick Connect set of pickups and you want to install them traditionally on pots, not on one of the PCB systems, all you have to do is snip it off. Inside there, you'll find your 4-conductor wiring with a ground wire, so you can put it on regular pots. And vice versa, you can also attach these to other 4-conductor pickups by splicing them together. So that's why if you have a set of these laying around, they're actually worth a little bit of money on the used market. And here's some friendly pro tips for getting top dollar for your used pickups. Instead of sending them out like this, making it an inconvenience for a buyer, buy yourself one of these. You'll have it for the rest of your life. That way you can make sure the pickup is ready for installation for the next guy, because you never know how experienced they are with installing pickups. They might not have that and then come back and blame you for it not having the wires they need. So these are all ready to go now. Having them ready to go also allows you to post a photo of the DC resistance so people know the pickup is working properly. And another photo like this showing the lead length will really help educate your buyer on what they're getting so there's no surprises.
I also found another set of the 70s, 80s Gibson tuners, and I was able to get those haggled down to only $85, and I found 3 other Gibson Catalogues. We've already had one of the white ones this season, but it's definitely my favorite late 70s catalog, and a lot of people want them. And as far as the 283s, I just kind of consider them a bonus, getting all those for $65. Unfortunately, no luck selling the Series 10 in 2 weeks, so I've now dropped the price and I've now bundled the remaining initial catalogs and posters, so if you'd like to buy those or make an offer, now's the best time to do so. But for our main feature this week, I decided to check out my Facebook Marketplace again. And hey, I got lucky again. Somebody was selling an Ibanez collection. They had an acoustic, they had some sort of an RG, and a bass. But they were wanting $450 for all of them or $150 each. So I did the math calculations, and I figured after fees and shipping, the acoustic's worth about $120, the bass is about $80, but this RG seemed pretty promising, around the $300 to $400-ish range. So I thought about making an offer of $300 for all 3 of them, but then I decided, why put all the work in for those other 2 if I only want the one? So I threw him a $100 offer and he was very quick to accept. I also got a cool stand in the deal as well as a couple of picks. So let's check this thing out.
So back at home now, I definitely made the right decision to only buy one of the guitars because unfortunately this thing just reeks of smoke. Now, I've had it about a week and a half, it's definitely aired out, but this thing seriously needs cleaned. Our frets are very rusty, we're probably going to have to put new strings on this. But that's okay, that's what the whole Trade Tuesday series and buying things locally for great prices is all about. Usually you have to put some work into it, so it's nothing I was not necessarily expecting. Once the cleaning's done, I bet this thing is going to be beautiful. I love this flame maple veneer top that we've got going on here. It's a nice dark finish. It's got a cool trans black back as well. It has the vibes of EMGs, but they're slightly different pickups. We'll take a look at those on the workbench. And I love the fact that it's a hardtail. You get a super shredder metal guy guitar, but you don't have to worry about the setup issues of a Floyd or any other trem. But it ended up being an RG3EXFM1. Which, through a little bit of research, this is a now discontinued model. I'm not sure what replaced it, but they're about $350 brand new back in the day. But I wanted to try something different. My hands have been really hurting polishing all the frets, so I wanted to try out a Dremel kit. I had burnt my Dremel up a couple of years ago doing guitar mods with the wrong attachments, so a viewer of the show actually sent me a Dremel about a year ago, which I'm very appreciative of because I want to try something like this to see if that helps polish the frets easier. So this will be my test guitar for that. And if that works out well, maybe I'll try it on my Gibsons in the future. Because as you guys know, that auction, those guitars are pretty rough and I do need to get to cleaning them. So let's go ahead and get this one on the operating bench. So here's where we are after a steel wool cleaning. The reason I did that is because the fretboard was absolutely disgusting. And I'm in the process of conditioning our fretboard. So these frets are now good, but I want to make them awesome. So here we are after that whole process. My first time doing that, I was expecting it to be a lot cleaner than it normally was. But unfortunately, it was just kind of a different kind of messy because sometimes your polishing compound would just start flying everywhere. Our frets are definitely nice and shiny now, but I wouldn't necessarily say the results are better than a hand polish. It's just about what I was expecting. I've also heard if you do that carelessly, you can accidentally ruin the crown of your frets. So I would not suggest doing that just for anybody, but it did save a little bit of stress on my hands, and I am happy with the result overall. So I think I'll experiment a little bit more on this on some cheaper guitars before trying it on some Gibsons. I think I've decided I'm not going to use the power tool to polish frets because look what happened to my set screws. Now granted, I used that on a way higher setting when I was polishing the bridge with that. So either that or I just didn't notice that somebody had flopped these screws already. But suspiciously, the only screws that weren't raised really high are the only ones that I could adjust. Probably not the best idea to use one of those at a high setting. And unfortunately, that was a sign of what was yet to come. Definitely would not suggest doing that. I think I've messed with the leveling of the frets. With medium action like this, it plays fine and is relatively buzz-free, but if you want to go lower, it starts to sound like a sitar in many places. So there we go. I was always curious if I could use that to help save my hands with polishing frets, and I think the answer is probably not. But it's good enough we can still get a playing demo out of it. Now let's tackle the rest of it. Well, that was far too much work, but oh my goodness, it's just like a completely different guitar now. You can see that awesome flame maple veneer top here. That's why I like polishing guitars. Sometimes the dancing figuring will come out, and this is just a fantastic top here. Let's go ahead and check out these specs. These are the original pickups. It's called the V7 in the neck, and the V8 in the bridge. Some forum posts online kind of scare me about these things, but I bet they sound okay. But that's what those markings on the top ended up being. The name of them, V7 and V8. Now these things were so encrusted on the edges with everything, I had to take the pickup rings off just to get it nice and clean. But our rings have this nice black chrome look to it, so I polished those up too. But our pickup ratings are 15.2 in the bridge, neck position 9.15, and our middle for fun at 5.78. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was just questioning myself here. Why do we have a 5-way switch on a 2 pickup guitar? But I was looking at these online and I saw they were 4 conductor, so I tried to pull on these pots to see if we had a coil split, but no, I'm betting that's what these in-between positions are. It's the coil split of the bridge and coil split of the neck. However, it might be slightly different because those readings don't necessarily line up to that. We'll have to plug it in and find out. But here's what our cavities look like. It is a basswood body, according to spec sheets online, and these appear to have been birthed in the late 2000s into the early 2010s era. This particular one, I believe, is from 2011. And this does look like a veneer top to me. However, when I first got it, I totally thought that was just going to be a photo flame, but no, it does move, so it's a real wooden veneer. And if you're not familiar with what a veneer is, it's basically a paper-thin piece of wood. They just slice it, that way they can use it on so many more guitars. So you get the beauty without the expense of paying for the full maple top. Besides the fancy top, you also have binding going along the edge, and you get a little bit of a comfort carve right here. But as far as our bridge, it's just a pretty typical one. And this didn't clean up the best, but at least it's a lot cleaner than when I had first gotten it. And our pots were loose. Thankfully, all the wiring was okay, so it just needed tightened up. Same thing was true for the tuners, but here's a closer look at the metal knurled knobs. They're also a black chrome. And these are just the push-on kind. They don't have a set screw. But moving on from our body, let's check out our fretboard. And this was back when import models still had real rosewood fretboards. So that's a nice plus on this model. And you get your tuna inlays. Or you could say a marlin inlay. Got his little mouth and pointy nose. Or shark tooth, whatever you want to call these things. But we're rocking a 25.5-inch scale length with just shy of a 16-inch fretboard radius. And then we get a 1.67-inch nut width. That increases to 2.07 by the 12th with a first fret neck depth of 0.76 and 0.81 by the 12th. That is a very thin shredder neck. Wow. Here's that neck profile at the first fret and the 12th fret. Definitely gets a little bit more rounded the further up you go. But this was a nice surprise. You also have a flame maple veneer on the headstock. I definitely did not see that when I first bought this because it was so caked over in gunk. I cleaned the tuners up the best I could. But the Ibanez truss rod cover is always so cool to me. You don't actually have to remove the screws to get access to it. It just folds away They just do that by putting it on a circular piece of plastic right there. Flipping over to the back, you've got a nice trans black finish back here. And if it is indeed a basswood body, we have at least 3 pieces, because there's one there, another one there. Then it looks like that's just one big piece. There's actually some decent figuring within it, but you've got lots of scratches down here from a strap. But there's some spots that almost look like maple, so who knows what they made this thing out of. But they've got a nice comfort carve back here, a swooped heel with no neck plate, just 4 screws putting that on. Then something kind of interesting with our control layout. I didn't notice this until I went to take it apart. The screw was missing right here, and somebody had melted the back plate, so I sanded that down flush. But what's happened here is the screw has actually broke off within it, and somebody was trying to put another one in crooked, and apparently that didn't work too well. And everything looks factory stock, untouched. But our neck is definitely 3 pieces of maple. So this started off as a satin, but it was so dirty I had to polish it up, so now it's more of a semi-gloss. But that's looking good with just minimal nicks and dings. Nothing too over the top, feels nice and smooth. And then we've got our serial number up here, telling us it was made in Indonesia in 2011, and the model number, and our tuners are looking a little bit better here. But all said and done, it's 7 pounds, 6 ounces. So let's go ahead and plug this beauty in and hear how it sounds. Believe the internet about these pickups. The full humbucking mode's almost unusable. It's so dark. Like, that's alright, but you can tell you're losing a lot of the notes and the clarity of the chords. That wasn't too bad. Both of them together. That's not too bad, and I like the splitting of them. Bridge doesn't sound too bad with distortion.
So now that we know all about this Ibanez RG, what are my final thoughts here? Pickups weren't necessarily fantastic. I mean, there were some okay tones. It's a little bit less than I was expecting, if we're being honest here. Do I regret picking this thing up, though? No, I just kind of regret ruining the frets. They look great, but they're definitely not 100% level. I mean, can you play it as is? Yes, but I would actually call it medium to high action. It was not that comfortable. So we learned an important lesson today. There's probably a reason why the Gibson and Ibanez factory doesn't have all their workers using those Dremels to polish up the frets. Maybe if I did like a super low setting, but I think I'll stick to my hand polishing. Or if anybody's in the Northwest Ohio area and you want to become my guitar tech, feel free to reach out because I'm kind of at that point where I need help getting caught back up. So if you're interested in a light project, you can find this on my website, troglysguitarshow.com, or you can offer me something for trade via the tradetrogly@gmail.com email. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.